Happy Monday. Welcome to the Randy Karraker Show on Sports Central STL, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker, great to have you with us. And we're going to talk some ball here. But we still have Ryan Helsley in our open, which is great.
We're nostalgic here.
I know we are.
We're nostalgic.
Did you see that the Phillies, not only did they get Duran, but Minnesota traded the Duran entrance to the Phillies too. They put 500 hours into building the Joanne Duran entrance in Minnesota. 500 hours. And then their video people said, yeah, you can, we're never going to use it again. You can have it. So they just emailed it to Philly, and Philly used it, and it became a thing.
I was wondering about that because the light show, with all the lights like the spinning phones around, I was like, that seems like programming that light show would take a long time. They got that done really quick. They literally just emailed them essentially like the programming in the presentation,
just being nice. And even the president of the Twins called the video guy and said, hey, we did the right thing here, because apparently Duran just loves his entrance. So anyway, that's a little. And Ryan Helsley is coming into Hell's Bells in New York too.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah,
they put it on TV and everything. People really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and he was throwing gas like usual.
Yep. The Cardinal closer, Joe Romero, when he had a chance, was good. The Cardinals' new nominal closer. I don't know if he'll wind up being the permanent closer, but he's we'll just call him the closer for now. Okay. Brooke has a baby. Andrew Rogers has a baby. Things are following. Randy Rocchio.
Nope. I got nothing.
Anything?
I got nothing to announce, people. I got nothing to announce.
Rip it up.
You're
cards.
stuck with me. Sorry.
Thank you. Rip it up cards. Paying attention. He knows. We're cooked, LOL, but it's honestly okay. I'm excited to see Graceffo and O'Brien get some high leverage experience. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed by Gordon Graceffo yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know who I like best among that group. I don't know who I favor in that group to be the closer, because I just don't know enough.
Well, let's move away from the closer battle, because I think that's still very much up in the air.
Yeah, it is.
And we're going to be breaking that down over the next couple months. The big thing, though, is we also got a quick little peek into the heart of the 2026 rotation over the weekend in Matthew Liberatore, Andre Pallante, and Michael McGreevy. Michael McGreevy, uneven, but gets the win. Liberatore and Pallante solid, or Pallante solid, Liberatore uneven, but Pallante had no chance to get the win because of how the Cardinals offense played around him. Just your takeaways from those three starts. Obviously, three very different situations for all of them.
Yeah, one thing about Matthew Liberatore, he's going to have to build up his stamina. That's one of the things. He'll have to work on his body during the offseason so that he is prepared to go for 6 months. I don't know that he was this year. We saw in the first half of the season what he is capable of, but this is a guy that, and we tell you, the sport changes in August and September, and he's got to be prepared for post All-Star break pitching. So I appreciate the way the Cardinals treated him, giving him a couple of weeks off, but he's just not prepared to give you 32 starts at this point. Hopefully next year he will. I love McGreevy, and my favorite thing about Michael McGreevy is that he never changes. He's got the perfect demeanor for a starting pitcher. And remember how when Flaherty would get lit up in a game and the shoulders would droop and it'd just look like he was defeated or frustrated? Michael McGreevy never changes. He's the same way. He goes, he got mad at the one end of one inning and threw the ball into the stands. Looked like he threw it pretty hard, but he also bounces back. He set down the last 8 that he faced, gives up a run in the second, I think two in the third, or run in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third. But then he sets down his last 8 to give the Cardinals the 6 innings. I'm a fan of McGreevy. I think he's going to be a terrific middle of the rotation guy. 4 strikeouts in his 6 innings. And then Pallante is another guy that is probably going to be middle or back of the rotation. And he was fine, not terrible. 5 innings, 2 earned runs. I mean, that's what you get out of your 4th and 5th starters these days. And I think most days with the Cardinals, well, with the old bullpen, you'd take 5 innings and 2 earned runs. But yesterday he was down early, but all he gave up was the home run. And otherwise he was fine.
Yeah, I'm actually really, really up on that Pallante start because he did everything you expect from Andre Pallante. The big thing with him is that, first of all, he missed bats at a higher level than usual. He had 13 swinging strikes, which is usually his numbers right around 10 or 11. So it's not a big jump, but it's more. And why I'm focusing on that slight change is that he had more swinging strikes, but usually we know what he is. He's supposed to be a ground ball pitcher. He wants the soft contact, and he usually gets soft contact at a pretty high rate. But throughout July, he was letting up we were seeing it go from 3 or 4 balls getting hit hard in a game, where he was consistently letting up throughout July 5 or 6 to 7 hard hit balls, 1 hard hit ball, the home run yesterday. That's the only hard hit ball the entire game. So him only letting up 1 hard hit ball while getting one of a higher counts of swinging strikes for him, that is a great start from Andre Pallante. And again, he's also dealing with some fatigue on the arm. He's right at his career high innings. So the fact that he can go out there and give you a start like that, he's never going to blow you away. But he can give you a start like that against a lineup like the Padres, that's a good look for Andre Pallante. That was a very good early August start for him.
Thanks for checking in on the chat. We want you to do so throughout the show. Bill Downton, McGreevy will be okay as a 4 or a 5. I think if you have McGreevy as a 4 or 5, you got a really good rotation. If Michael McGreevy is your number 4, you have 3 guys that are better than him, you're in pretty good shape.
I mean, he got screwed by some bad defense like that. Like that's not something that I think the way we've talked about it already. The way that the Cardinals are building next year, because this is going to be a part of their rotation, defense is still going to be a huge part of this pitching staff having success. And so if Michael McGreevy has a game, or Andre Pallante or Liberatore throughout the entire weekend, if any of those guys have a 3-error game that happens, while they're out there, it's going to be a huge effect, because you're gonna lengthen innings that shouldn't be lengthened. You're gonna have base runners that shouldn't be there. These are guys who work on the margins, and they're always gonna have the location. They're always gonna get the soft contact. And so if they don't get the luck and the defense behind them, then you're going to see bad starts from them. But as we've seen the majority of the time with the Cardinals this year, the defense works behind this pitching staff.
And it'll be interesting to see how good Nolan Gorman is over there. He'll probably be there with that shoulder so wonky for Arenado. He might be there for a month or more. Maybe Arenado's season will be over and they'll get a full look. Well, maybe they'll only get a month look at Gorman at third, because then they'll probably call up Wetherholt to play third for September.
So let's dive into the Nolan Arenado thing, because when it comes down, you saw a lot of people just being like, well, yeah, he's been dealing with injuries this season. So I guess my question has to be, why do you think, it all comes to the fact that they thought they thought they could boost his value through July in any way, shape, or form to get a team to come into the conversation?
He did the same thing in Colorado. In 2020, he had virtually the exact same OPS plus, and he had a strained shoulder the whole year, and he wasn't good. He just wasn't. So this year, he hits his last home run on June 21st. He goes on the shelf July 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th with a strained shoulder, and then comes back. I don't think he's been healthy since the end of June. And I don't think it had anything to do with the Cardinals trying to increase his value. I think it had everything to do with him wanting to play and them acquiescing to his desires to keep playing, even though he knew he was hurt. And I get players are in a no-win situation, because this happened with JD Drew here. If you get hurt and you don't want to play, they say, oh, he's a pussy, he doesn't want to play. But then if you play hurt and don't perform, they say, well, he sucks. So the player can't win when he's in that situation, unfortunately, with what we have with social media and with the way we respond with our shows. And we are very reactionary here, because we aren't talking about training camp the next day for our NFL team either. So we're really reactionary about players. But I think that we put players in a no-win situation, and that particular player, he wants to play. He wants to post and prove that he's doing everything he can to help the team win, even though he knows that he's hurting the team.
So what do you think we see from Nolan Arenado the rest of the season? Do we see Nolan Arenado the rest of the season?
I think we might not see him the rest of the season.
10 days turns into 60 days pretty easy? Okay.
Yeah. I could see it. Strained shoulder, and then maybe do an MRI and find something a little bit more serious. But isn't this team better off? Because really, they wanted to trade Arenado and take a look at everybody anyway. They're better off giving a 2-month audition to Gorman and or Wetherholt at third base. And Thomas JC too. But I think at the end of the day, probably next year, you'll have either Gorman or Wetherholt playing third base.
Yeah, and I think it gives them plausible deniability later on down the line, because we've talked about why you don't just outrightly bench Nolan Arenado. And it's the optics factor for other veterans looking at your team in the future. But this gives you the deniability that, no, we didn't bench Nolan Arenado. We had a shoulder injury and he couldn't play. We take care of our veterans by thinking about their future. We want them to be able to play catch with their sons down the line. We ruined the chance for Kevin Seagrass and Matt Bowman to do it. We're not going to do that again to another player. Rip It Up Cards says, am I missing why Matthews isn't getting a chance to throw to Crooks this August in St. Louis, get both of their feet wet? Well, the problem with doing that in August is that you're starting clocks because you're doing it in August and not September. The other problem is that Matthews isn't just the last 2 months are not the 2 months you have for a young player before you call him up to the majors.
Yeah.
It's just
Quinn Matthews has not had
terrible.
a game this year where he's gone beyond 5 innings, not one, unless he did in his last start. And he also has not had a game where he's had as many strikeouts as innings, or more strikeouts than innings pitched in any game.
And his velo's down. Just there's not a single part of that profile that makes you say, call him up and put him in the spinner.
And going back to Arenado, there's a couple of things. The Cardinals tell me that he's healthy, that he's just dealing with the things that a 4th-round draft choice deals with, and that adversity is good for him down there. The reason I ask the question is because, like Arenado, Matthews, after his 2nd or 3rd start this year, went on the shelf with a bad shoulder, hasn't been the same since he came back. So my question is this a shoulder injury that he's dealing with the velo down and with the lack of effectiveness, or is it adversity and the Cardinals just need to do a better job of preparing him, one or the other? But either way, you don't bring Quinn Matthews up this year. Not the way he's performed. Obviously, 2024 was awesome. The way he's performed in 2025, he doesn't deserve to be called up.
I hope my mic's still working.
Good.
Because I just have to swing from where it had been the last week. And if my mic's still working, let us know. If it's not,
chat in.
Yeah. Well. The other half of that, though, the Jimmy Crooks question, considering we've had so many struggles, Pedro Pajes, still, he's hitting 156 since the All-Star break. We've had more mistakes behind the plate. And the pitcher ERA, as we talked about with Bernie on Friday, has gone up precipitously over the last month.
And by the I totally put that on the pitchers.
But
I mean, Michaelis is Michaelis, right? Sonny Gray has been Sonny Gray. You've got Pallante and Liberatore. We just talked about them fading after a start, and then, and then you bring McGreevy up, but you had Eric Fetty. I mean, you had Pies catching Fetty. I mean, what do you expect?
If we're gonna use the catcher ERA point in his favor earlier in the year, makes sense to still bring it up now in the discussion later.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all. That's the only you're 100% correct. Yeah. The context around it is always going to matter. But we brought it up in May as a pro, so I'm going to mention it now as a potential con. So
and I think the reason that in May was as a comp to the other catchers when all the pitchers were performing at their best level and all the catchers were performing, so it was all apples to apples. His earned run average was significantly better than Herrera's or Pozo's. And I think that his catcher's ERA has coincided with these pitchers, four of the current guys that have been here all year, fading in one way or another. I don't think it matters. Maybe Yachty could have gotten more out of these guys as they got tired down the stretch. I don't know, but I think the pitchers have as much or more to do with their lack of performance than the catcher does. Because you'd hope that the Cardinals would understand, and we would hear about it. He's really calling a bad game, or that was a bad pitch to call. That was a mistake, and I'm not hearing that from anybody.
Neither am I. But when you factor in the offense, do you think we'll see Jimmy Crooks at some point in this fall, late summer?
I could see that. Yeah. If you decide not to bring up Wetherholt, maybe Jimmy Crooks is your guy.
But also why not? I guess why not bring up Crooks now? I know you're starting his clock, but he's Rule 5 eligible. So I feel like starting his clock isn't that big of a deal in the first place. Like it's 1 year. You're getting ahead of it by 1 year, but he's already a little bit older. He's not the future of the position because you have Rodriguez and Bernal right behind him. I think it makes sense to just bring him up right now, just as a team where you're sitting. You're not as competitive anymore. The fans want to see young players who could be successful at that position. I just think it makes sense from a lot of perspectives to bring up Jimmy Crooks right now.
This is a big picture organization.
That's true.
The manager is a big picture guy. The president, the new president of baseball operations, they're all big picture guys, and they aren't going to make a judgment on a player on 3 weeks.
That's fair.
And you know they
Which
can,
player are we which player are you talking about?
Pies.
Pies? Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not
he's not a 150 career hitter. Right?
No, he's not. But I mean, he has been below 200 for. I mean, the 156 is since the All-Star break. I feel like he's been batting below 200 since mid-June. If I had to go back and
one thing that I can tell you for sure is that Oli Marmol believes that he is their best opportunity to be a run suppressor among all of their catchers.
Is the best job to be the run suppressor among all their catchers, and
that includes shutting down the opposing running game too. His percentage of thrown out base stealers is, I believe, substantially better than the other catchers on this team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you have to go. I mean, you have to go back You got to go back to April to bring up a stretch where Pies is hitting 200 over. Like it's all sub 200, and so I accept the fact that he is the best defensive catcher right now. But as we talked about with Bernie on Friday, it's the question of when does it hit a point where the defense he's giving you and the pitcher handling he's giving you isn't outweighing having only an 8-man lineup essentially.
You would have benched Yadier Molina in 2006.
No, because Yadier Molina in 2006 was how old? And he's supposed to be the future of your position there. This would be a little bit different if this was Leo Barnall in 2 years and he was really struggling behind the plate. I would have a much longer. My leash would be completely different with him. 23-year-old Yadier Molina is very different than 26-year-old, almost 27-year-old Pedro Paez. He's not the future of your organization.
But Molina wasn't thought to be the future of the organization.
In 2006, he wasn't. He'd taken over from Matheny 2 years prior. But that was his third year in the major leagues. He wasn't.
Nobody thought that he was going to become the defensive or the offensive catcher that he did.
No one thought he'd become the offensive catcher that he did. But he was such a great defensive catcher, and the fact that he was handling again, I understand respecting that side of things if it's good enough to keep going. But you can see the amount of pass balls and things like that. And I think we can say that Pedro Paez has not been the defensive catcher over the last month that he was in the first 2 months of the season either. I don't think that's I don't think that's too harsh either.
But again, then you're suggesting that they're trying to lose.
I'm not suggesting that they're trying to lose. I'm suggesting that they are being overly cautious about service time with a young player when for me this is one very rare situation where I don't think that should be what's holding them back. I can understand
how many AAA at bats does Jimmy Crooks have? Let's see here.
His career. It's fine here. You're gonna beat me to it. You're gonna beat me to it, I think. His AAA at bats in his career is 318.
318. So okay.
He's only a 763 OPS player across those 300 at bats. So
he played college ball.
Yes, but us expecting some kind of huge offensive jump would be unfair to Jimmy Crooks. That's completely fair. And
329 on base.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's gonna dominate. It's just at this point of the season, I feel like it would be useful to get another look at another option, especially for a guy who could be an option for 2026.
Well, I can tell you that all year long, Chaim Bloom has been watching the minor leagues.
That's true.
See, he knows.
He's
got a pretty good idea of what's going on down there. So does Larry Day, and so do their Ethan Goforth, their minor league catching instructor. These guys just aren't letting these guys, and it's happened in the past. They aren't letting these guys flail in the minor leagues with nobody watching them or teaching them.
I wouldn't say I thought that necessarily. I would say for me, it's all just comes to the point of having the I guess luxury is the wrong word, of not being a good team, so you can maybe take some risks that you can't normally take. That's like how many times we talk about the Cardinals always being competitive. They don't really have many times in the last 20 years where in the first week of August, everyone's kind of accepted the fact that they're not going to compete. And so it allows them to maybe take a risk that they don't normally take. I'm accepting the fact that this is not a normal Cardinal move, and we shouldn't be expecting it. But I think that because of how rare this season is, asking for maybe a rare move isn't uncalled for.
It's been the whole year.
Yeah.
They never told us they were going to win. They told us they were going to give guys runway. We hadn't seen much of Walker. We're seeing a lot of Walker. We hadn't seen very much of Victor Scott. We've seen Victor Scott. We hadn't seen an awful lot of Pajes. We half a season last year, right? We hadn't seen a ton of Herrera. That's what
But the
this
difference
is a completely different year than any year I ever remember as a Cardinal fan.
But the difference with the runway in all those guys and Pages is who's supposed to be part of the future. Those guys are all supposed to be part of the 3 to 5 year future. Is Pedro Pages supposed to be part of the future, or is it supposed to be? Are we supposed to be talking about
the defense that they've seen? They say yes, and based upon, I mean, in 2020 and 2021, the future at catcher was supposed to be Ivan Herrera.
Apparently, Jimmy the Cat Hayes was talking about this on LouInfo.com. You talked to Ivan Herrera, he still sees himself as a catcher, and and apparently his mindset is that this offseason, if he can work through a couple of arm things, he's still a catcher. And that would certainly help the Cardinals lineup. Yeah. I don't know how they're reacting to him having those conversations though.
It'd be nice to throw out one base stealer, just one.
One time.
And by the way, Crooks not bad in the minors, 26 out of 90 this year, and 88 out of 210 for his career. No, not 88 out of 200. He's had 88 caught steals and 210 stolen bases. Excuse me. And this year, 64 stolen bases and 26 caught stealing. So he's caught 26 of 90. That was correct.
Topher Rock says Pedro will be a good backup. Steve Wright says catcher ERA is a bogus stat. If you're the backup catcher and only catch the number 5 starter, of course your ERA is going to be bad.
But that's just not the way it works. Nobody does that. Yeah. So it all balances out, and there's a reason that people like Yadier Molina always had a better catcher's ERA than the other guys. It just Matheny was the same way.
You're saving runs. Like if you're a good defensive catcher, also you save runs sometimes.
Yeah.
Pass
you manage
balls.
games. You have relationships with your pitcher so that your pitcher has more conviction when you call a pitch than he would with another catcher. Believe me, there's something to be said for being a good defensive catcher.
Rip it up cards. A good game call is valuable, but for a starting catcher on a winning team, it's not enough to outthink the opponent and lead the team while also stopping the other team's run game. It's not enough to outthink the opponent and lead the team while also stopping the other team's run game. I guess you got to have some offense is what Rip it up cards is saying.
All of those Mike Piazza World Series rings will lead you to believe that is the case.
Bill Downton says, sorry, but it's time to get some offense at this spot. Yes.
So maybe we can go get Will Smith.
Masyn Winn moving Contreras to first base this season full-time as opposed to part-time may have been a mistake, especially for roster flexibility, but it wasn't a mistake for Wilson Contreras' knees and his ability lengthening his bat as a hitter by letting him play first base is a smart move, I think, in the long term as well. That's another thing. I agree with that one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And his game management, there's a perfect example for you. And back in we got him as a free agent. Cardinals signed him before the 23 season, correct? After 22. Yeah, because he was going to replace Yadi. And at the deadline in 2022, when he was going to be a free agent, there was only one team interested in him, and that was Houston, and they were interested in him primarily as a designated hitter, and they were going to give up a pitcher for him, and might have even been Valdez, I'm not sure. But Dusty Baker said, no, we don't need Wilson Contreras. So there was no interest in Wilson Contreras as a catcher.
That's a big factor.
When he was available. Yet the Cardinals signed him as a catcher after having a long meeting with him down in Florida. But clearly he's a good offensive player, but his ability to manage a pitching staff. Well, let me just tell you what Joe Madden said. Joe Madden had a specific coach to work with Contreras every single day on putting the game plan together.
That costs a lot of money. Jeremy Davis, I feel like we know the answer from the Cardinals here. Is Pages' defense good enough to ignore his offense? I feel like the way you're saying it, Randy, the Cardinals would emphatically say yes. Maybe not emphatically, but they'd say yes.
Is he better? Does it offset what you lose when you have Herrera behind the plate? And is he better than Pozo? Those are the only two questions you need to answer. Yeah, because those are the two guys that are here, right? Now, if you think that Crooks is a better catcher, both offensively and defensively, and you've seen that, then that is malpractice. It wouldn't seem like right now, simply because Jimmy Crooks is still playing at Memphis, that the Cardinals believe right now that he is their best option behind the plate.
Yeah, and I guess that's the tough part is just you got to give benefit of the doubt to the people who are doing the job. That like you said, Chaim Chaim Bloom is watching the minors, and if they thought Jimmy Crooks was a better option for them to win games tomorrow, he'd be called up. Is that the thought process? Do you think you don't think service time is holding back a move there?
No, I don't think so.
It shouldn't be like that, and that's and you know what? If that's the way we're going to stick with it, is just this is their thought process. We got to trust the people in the position they're at. I'm completely understandable. That's a very logical way to look at things. Doesn't leave me a lot of room to react and scream about things, but it's logical.
By the way, Jimmy Crooks is also a really fun guy. Went to Oklahoma. He was a minor league player of the year last year.
I like this take from Lex Luthor, though.
Sounds like a bully in a children's
Jimmy Crooks sounds like a bully in a children's TV show. It does it is kind of perfect.
Yeah. I had a chance to get together with him last year in the winter during the winter at the Baseball Writers Dinner. Sat with him at the Baseball Writers Dinner. And he's a fun guy. He's well-spoken, and you'll enjoy his personality when and if he gets here. And hopefully he'll wind up being what we all hope he'll be, because he's 6'2", he's 6'230". He's built like a catcher. We know he can hit. And now the question becomes, will he manage the way they want a game managed? But hell, he's got 12 homers, 68 RBIs this year, and just 318 at bats. So offensively, he can give you a little bit of pop. So can he do it behind the plate? And by the way, another part of this, he's another left-handed hitter.
Oh, Jesus. I completely forgot about that factor. Dang it to hell, Jimmy Crooks.
Yeah. So nothing wrong with a left-handed hitting catcher. When you have 9 left-handed hitting players already, it kind of makes a difference.
Nick Jensen, the Cardinals have like 17 catchers in their top 30 prospects.
Yeah.
Herrera needs to understand he will not be a catcher in St. Louis or anywhere else.
Yeah, and he's voluntarily gone to the outfield, and I believe that they will kind of talk him into it at some point. And maybe that's another thing to do as well. Herrera is here in September, because you only get 2 call-ups now, and you almost have to take a pitcher with one of those. So if you bring up a position player, are you going to have Wetherholt or Crooks? Who do you want to take a look at in September? Or you could just get rid of somebody too. You can always do that if you decide that, Thomas Ajaysi is never going to be a regular for you.
I feel like if I was Ivan Herrera's agent, I'd be like, no, if they want you to play left field, play left field. If you're going to hit more, you're not going to have to be down on your knees. We're going to make you a lot more money over the course of this career if you're in left field than if you're behind the plate. If they want to move you to left field, take it and run.
Yeah,
we're going to make you so much more money.
Yeah, and you're going to feel a lot better
for a lot longer.
I like this from Let's Turn 2. Since you're not expected to make much noise in FA this offseason, how about overpaying Scherzer to come in for 1 year to end his career at Cardinal? Slot him at number 5. May sell some tickets too. A couple of things about Maximus Scherzer. Number 1, he doesn't have any family here anymore.
No.
So there's no real family ties. His parents moved to Florida. That's why he's always kind of signed with teams that train in Florida. So that's part of it. Obviously, Mo will not be the president of baseball operations anymore. I don't know if Mo will still be in the organization at all. I don't know if he's leaving, if he's going to do something else in the organization. But and Adam Wainwright told us this a couple of weeks ago on the TV show. We had him on, and I said, how close was he? Had a Max Scherzer jersey sitting by him. I said, how close was Scherzer to being a Cardinal? And he said, real close. And so Scherzer told Waino, basically, look, tell your guy, front office Mo, that I'm coming there. I'll take a hometown discount, and if you guys want me, I'm there. And tell them, don't worry about Boris. I've already told Boris I'm the boss. I'm coming. I want to come to St. Louis. And the Cardinals engaged on a limited basis. And according to Adam Wainwright, so he got a 7-year, $210 million deal from the Nationals. And the Cardinals had previously offered $187 million to David Price. And this is apparently it was a $10 million difference over 7 years that prevented Max Scherzer from coming here. And
$70 million.
And that ticked him off. And so that's why he has never even thought about coming to St. Louis. And everybody that I talk to that's friends with Max, and if you are one, you know, that's he's a big guy on loyalty, and he's a big guy on doing the right thing. And once that was over, he was never going to play in St. Louis again.
And I like to clarify this when we talk about this. That wasn't $7 million each of the 10 years. That wasn't $70 million.
$10 million total over 7 years.
Just 10 total million.
Yeah.
Across 7 years.
Yeah.
So like 1.3 million a year for a $1 billion organization.
Well,
and they balked at that.
Yeah, but you did have to sign Brett Cecil, so that was pretty important.
Probably could have cut 1.3 out of his contract.
And by the way, this is kind of a mild defense of the Cardinals. Now, but it was a 3-time Cy Young Award winner, and Waino thinks it cost you a couple of world championships.
I don't think, no matter what you say here, I feel like you calling it a minor mistake is now been kind of blown up.
Oh, but here's the thing: the Cardinals' starting rotation that year was Lackey, 13-10 with a 2.77. Waka, coming off of essentially a couple of really good first 2 years, he goes 17-7 with a 3.38. Carlos Martinez goes 14-7 with a 3.01. Lance Lynn had gone 12-11 with a 3.03, and Jaime Garcia went 10-6 with a 2.43. Cardinals team ERA was 2.94 the first year that Scherzer was in Washington. And don't forget that they were trying to either keep Jason Hayward or get another hitter. They thought their pitching was good. Tavares had died, and so they wanted to focus in on the offense, but clearly it didn't work out. And if you have a chance, as it turns out, when you have a chance to get the best pitcher in the league, you got to do it, right?
Yeah, but you would have had to.
You won 100 games.
You would have had to move Jaime Garcia or Lance into the bullpen. You can't make that. You can't make that call for a 3-time Cy Young winner.
But you also were trying to fix your offense too.
Yeah, you were.
And Holiday was headed downhill at that point. There were a lot of things that were going on.
People like to ignore just how much they were begging for outfield big bats when they made the Ozuna trade.
So that's just a mild defense, is that you did have in that first year that he was in Washington, you had a really good. And by the way, Waino got hurt that year too. Remember, Waino gets hurt in April, tearing his Achilles coming out of the batter's box in Milwaukee. You didn't even have him, so your rotation was Lackey, Waka, Martinez, Lynn, and Garcia. They wound up pitching well, but then it didn't last because Lackey left after that season, right? He went to the Cubs for the 16 season. Waka got hurt. Martinez flipped out. Lance Lynn got hurt, and Jaime Garcia just became Jaime Garcia.
Eric Ledford, the DeWitts need to spend money to bring the fans back. I'm not saying we have to spend like the Dodgers, but we can't do that. But don't be so cheap.
I am with you so much.
Oh,
I agree with you.
Here we go.
Because when they back in the day, when the Cardinals would spend, and they would get the Brett Cecils of the world and the Andrew Millers of the world and give Matt Carpenter that extra money and sign Dexter Fowler and give those
Miles
were the
Michaels
days when
extension,
we had
baby.
Mike Lee. Yeah. So those were the days, man. That spending money was the answer. And yeah, the DeWallet needs to just take that money out of the wallet, because we need more moves like that. I love those days. That'll bring the fans back.
It's the hope.
The next Andrew Miller, that'll get the fans to buy tickets. Mm-hmm.
It's the hope that kills you, Eric.
Everybody wanted to come and see Brett Cecil. That's why they drew so well when Cecil was here. Everybody was coming to see Brett Cecil pitch. Remember they were drawing 40,000 games. And
I can't say I remember that.
The fans chanting Cecil, Cecil, Cecil. Oh yeah,
I'd buy that. Yeah.
And I remember seeing some banners that said, when Cecil was coming up on the last year of his contract before they released him because he was so bad, with the banners that said "Pay the man." Yeah, pay Brett. Video games.
The problem with the Cardinals has not been spending money; it's been spending money the correct way. Bernie, I don't know how many times now we've gone through the Brewers lapping everybody in baseball while having one of the lowest payrolls. Go back to this past Friday. Bernie laid it down again. Go to watch Bernie's videos. He lays it down again. You have to make smart moves. You don't have to make moves that are the costliest. And the Cardinals' issue has not been spending money. It's been spending money wisely. So if you want to if your response is just keep throwing money at bad moves, they're going to keep winning 84 games.
84.
Yeah, I'm being positive now.
Yeah. Sunshine, lollipops, rainbow. Okay. Number one, Skywalker 1982. These people saying the team is going to move are ridiculous. Yes, they are. They just aren't paying attention. They have no clue. So yeah, this team, Major League Baseball, would never allow a team in a market of 2.6, 2.7, 2.8 million people that draws 3.3 or 3.4 to move. They aren't going to allow a team that has the second or third highest, or has had the second or third highest TV ratings in all the land. They aren't going to allow that franchise to move. A franchise that built its own stadium. Stadium turns 20 years old next year. It's beautiful. They aren't going to allow that franchise to move. There's, unless you can think of one, think of a reason for Rob Manfred or an owner of any baseball team anywhere to say, yeah, we don't really think that St. Louis is a very good market. There's 30 better markets than St. Louis.
Well, Brandy, we're getting outdrawn by the Rockies now. Lateralists, more people came to see Cecil than have entered the stadium this year, smarty pants.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what they need to spend, like they sent back in the day when they spent on, I remember that off season, they spent almost $500 million. They gave Steven Piscotty a big extension. They gave Carlos Martinez, I think it was 55 over 5. They re-signed Yachty. They gave him 60 over 3. They brought in Dexter Fowler. They brought in Brett Cecil. It was great. It was fantastic. Just from 16 on, think of all the World Series they've won since 17 on, right?
Jermaine Robinson, which free agents did we get when Mo said we had quote unquote payroll muscle? When was payroll muscle quote? That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's just
Cardinals payroll muscle was February 2019. Okay. Well, I feel like
payroll muscle.
So you had payroll muscle in 2019. So what's happened since 2019? Has the TV broadcasting completely crumpled and stopped giving you $60 million check every year?
Yeah.
Okay. There it is.
Did we have a pandemic?
Well, we bounced back from that. I mean, the Cubs had biblical losses. They bounced back from that, though, Randy. So, I mean, come on now. We're back from that.
Habits changed.
Things have changed, though, since that quote.
Habits changed, and the team became much less attractive to watch. Definitely Mo fatigue. I am of the belief that a lot of people, and I read this a lot on the socials, that a lot of people really had difficulty getting past the firing of Mike Shildt, and I don't blame you, but I think that caused people to not buy tickets too. I think there's a lot that goes into this. Somebody said earlier that the downfall of this franchise should be studied. I agree, because there's a lot that goes into it. Call Cecil, offer him $30 million for 2 years. Cardinals need another lefty. They do. Thank you, History City. Yeah. I mean, Jojo Romero's the only guy you got. I'll bet you Cecil would take 30.5 over 4.
Yeah, I think so. I think he would.
And an extra locker. You got to get him an extra locker with video games.
I mean, we know for a fact now that all you need is, I think, $10 million, and Lance will get out there again.
Oh yeah,
he wasn't taking like 7 or 8, but if you get up to like 10 or 12, Lance will get out there for you.
But we need a lefty.
It's true. You're right. Drew Beaushirt says, why don't they give young players extensions anymore? Well, a couple of them didn't go too great, and I think that might have caused a little bit of trepidation going forward after a couple of them didn't work out. Colton Wong, Paul DeYoung. Did they give any?
Piscotty.
I was going to say they
Martinez.
got one of the outfielders got one. Piscotty, Martinez, Marp. That one worked out okay. Extension, the extra one didn't work out very well. But so I feel like maybe a little trepidation.
Yeah, and I wonder if the Cardinals have gone to guys who said, now we're good. Because now think of why people wanted to come to St. Louis in the past. They wanted to come to St. Louis. This was a destination because players knew they had a chance to win, especially under Tony La Russa, but before that, Whitey Herzog, but mostly under Tony. And the other thing was, and both Goldschmidt and Arenado said, we love the idea of playing before 40,000 fans every night. Well, neither of those exist anymore. So I don't believe that St. Louis is a free agent destination, and it doesn't appear to be even a destination for their own guys. We saw Jason Hayward want to get out of here, and he did. We saw Albert Pujols want to get out of here, and he did. We've seen other free agents depart. So I just don't think that, except for a few guys, this is really a destination place anymore. Sonny Gray loves it here. Not a lot of pressure.
It's not because it's a destination.
No, but for him it is.
It is for him.
But Contreras, yeah, he's comfortable with his ring. He likes it. No pressure. The media is not. We aren't going to rip anybody. We aren't hammering away. So I think you got that. And then Miles, his home is in Jupiter, Florida, and the Cardinals trained there. So that made sense. But in terms of it being an overall destination where the tiebreaker is going to be, St. Louis offers me the opportunity to win. And like when
Beltran Stanton said, absolutely. You think I'm going to spend the last few years of my 20s as one of the richest people in this country, and I'm going to do it in St. Louis?
Well,
yeah, right.
It was pretty disingenuous, though. He picked the final 4 teams that have played that year. He picked the Cubs, the Astros, Yankees, Dodgers. Those were the 4 teams that he had.
It just happened to be 4 of the 5 biggest markets in St. Louis, right. in America for a 20-year-old.
Yeah, Stanton wasn't. He wasn't one of those guys.
Nope.
And Mark McGwire was. Mark McGwire was from California and decided to come here and stay here. Edmonds came here and stayed here. We had a lot of guys that Darryl Kyle was very happy to be a Cardinal for the time that he was here. We had a lot of guys that wanted to be here and made it a point to get to the Cardinals. I made the point last week. It was the anniversary of Scott Rowland getting traded here, I think. He had turned down $140 million from the Phillies and signed an extension here for $90.
That's insane.
He left $50 million on the table. $50 million guaranteed. Rowland did to become a Cardinal.
It's never going to happen again.
No.
Tova Rock. Cecil was the only pitcher to stick a ball to his catcher's chest protector.
Good point.
The man had skills.
He mad skills with a Z. Yeah, no doubt about it.
This is interesting to me. Where did I go? Jerry Franks. When fans boo Mozeliak for 2 opening days in a row, and all the DeWitts do is smile and laugh about it, tells you all you need to know. They cannot read the room. And I want to bring up an answer we got from Russ Brandon, who is the CEO of the UFL. When I asked him about one thing he takes away from working with Marv Levy, who, by the way, congratulations to Marv Levy, just turned 100 years old.
Yeah, thanks for watching, Marv.
Legend.
Where would you rather be than right here, right now?
And he said his favorite line from Marv that he remembers is, if you start listening to the fans, you'll be sitting with them soon. And so I understand Jerry's point of view that you want the ownership to react when the fans boo, but at the same time, I also can't now get that line from Marv Levy out of my head where it's like them thinking they're smarter than everybody has been a problem. But when you're the experts and you're in the room and you're thinking we have a plan here, I understand why people think they didn't react to the fans booing.
What Pobo or general manager in a mid-market, and I guess I'll give you Matt Arnold right off the bat, but who's doing better? Like, are the Twins doing better? That's very similar.
No.
Are the Pirates, Pittsburgh is a similar market.
These are all fans that would say no, very emphatically.
Are the Reds doing better?
Yeah, about the same.
Okay.
But no. I mean,
as a mid-market franchise, let's go since the DeWitts bought the team. Who's been better?
Yeah, it's been the DeWitts. Because in the Cincinnati ownership last year, the one that said, we don't need you.
Oh, yeah. Former Cardinal part owner Bob Gasolini.
Yeah, so yeah, the Cincinnati Reds fans are pretty pissed off at their ownership group. So yeah, in the Central, other than the Brewers, the Cardinals are doing pretty good.
Nick Jensen, more horrible takes by Randy. Okay, Nick, Matthew and I had this discussion off the air. You don't know what a take is. Okay, a take is an opinion, and there's no such thing as a bad opinion. Now, it might be in your opinion, but my takes are great. Okay. Because I say them, they're great. So, Nick, that's a horrible take on your part to say that I had a horrible take.
I can't find Nick's.
And by the way, tell me, give me the teams if you don't like what I'm saying. Okay, give me the teams in market sizes similar to St. Louis that are doing so substantially better. Nick, you're on the clock right now. Give me the chats. Give me the market size. Give me 5 markets above St. Louis in Major League Baseball, 5 markets below, and tell me who's doing so great. All right, appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, Graham said, I think Reds ownership threatened to move the teams when the fans were bad. They did. That was, the Reds ownership probably not looking too great.
The Reds had the big red machine. None of those teams have the history behind it like the Cardinals do.
Some people can't handle the pressure of playing in the big media market. There's really no pressure to play in St. Louis. I think there's also some players who
and that was the difference with Tony. Is Tony applied that pressure by himself. And that's one of the reasons that McGwire wanted to come back here, because he thought when Tony left, that the daily pressure applied by Tony La Russa would be something that he would enjoy. But then within a season, he realized, you know what? I really miss Tony's intensity, and I want to get back to it. That's one of the reasons that he came to St. Louis.
Sorry, I'm trying to fight off the hiccups live on camera.
You're right, Tampa. Okay, let's talk about how Tampa has done since 1996. Let's see. Count their World Series championships.
Bubkus.
Okay. Cardinals have been to 4, 1, 2. Tampa, they've been to a couple. One of them was in a COVID year. 08 played the Phillies in the World Series, lost. And then a couple of years ago played the Dodgers in the World Series and lost.
Crocky here. So 3 straight years of no postseason baseball, and we can't complain. I'm not saying that at all. You have my point was less about the fans. I like it when fans let their voices be heard. I won't criticize fans for not going. I won't criticize fans for saying I'm boycotting by not going unless you start like listening to the exact reasons you do, then I might start disagreeing with them. But overall, I'm not going to disagree with fans doing that. My point is that the expectation from that text is that they expected the ownership of the Cardinals to react to the fans booing to Mo and make a change. My comment was more on, you can boo, you're welcome to. My question was more on the realism of expecting booing to change how the owners view things themselves. That was what my comment was to that texter. It had nothing to do with saying you can't complain. Complain as much as you want. In fact, do it in the chat right now. We're going to get to it.
Yeah. By the way, I also want to mention this. When we talk about the history of the Cardinals, history has changed. Okay. When 10 years ago, you didn't have a Dodgers going out and spending $300 million in payroll. You didn't have a Phillies going out and spending $280 million in payroll. And you didn't have this wide disparity between revenues for different teams. So it used to be that if the Dodgers did something, the Cardinals were capable of it financially, but that's not the case anymore. With the value of baseball on television and the cost of going to games, you have a bigger market with a richer fan base, people that make more money. People in LA make a lot of money. People in New York make a lot of money. People in Philly are making a lot of money. So you've got people with more money able to buy tickets, and that has enhanced the disparity of the revenues of teams. Another thing that has enhanced the disparity of revenues in teams is, for example, Citizens Bank Ballpark in Philadelphia, publicly financed, almost completely publicly owned. The ownership there didn't build it. Dodger Stadium is pretty much paid off. The Mets Stadium, Citi Field, publicly owned. And the Cardinals built their own stadium for $300 million 20 years ago. So you have different debt services for different franchises too. And this is not a defense. This is just a reality that it's almost like the disparity between CEOs and employees. The disparity is growing between the big market teams and the medium and small market teams.
Jerry Franks, why have the fans not showing up changed their mind, though? People are not coming, but they stand by Mo and Ollie. The fans are done with them.
I think that's a big thing. The Mo fatigue is absolutely 100% real. I don't think that Ollie Marmol has managed poorly this year. When I look at the way the bullpen has been run, when I look at the goals of the team and players improving, I think they've done a lot of improving during the course of the year. I think that Ollie might be guilt through association in many cases because he was hired by John Mozeliak. But I don't know if he's the answer, but I also don't know if he's the problem with this team. I do think, though, because of what you say, that fans are done with Ollie. I think that could absolutely be the case. And there is no doubt in my mind that a good manager coming out of the strike, the Cardinals hiring Tony La Russa made a difference. And if you hire an established manager and let him manage, I think that can lead to greater ticket sales.
So do you think, and we talked about this earlier a little bit, a manager going into a lame duck season with only 1 year left on their contract, and a new general manager, president of baseball operations, taking over that same season. It's a very interesting situation that I can't find a lot of comparisons to that Chaim and Ollie are about to face next year.
And they're in a perfect situation because they aren't going to let Ollie Marmol go into the last year of his contract in 26. So you either fire him or extend him.
Okay, that was kind of my thought. Is lame duck seasons for managers just aren't really a thing, and especially when a guy's saying, "I'm going to start my regime now out," you got to either do it with a new manager or a guy with on a multi-year contract, right?
Right. Craig Lewis, let's talk history, Randy. The Yankees have been outspending every team in baseball for a century. And if I'm not mistaken, they have 27 world championships, right? So yeah, you're right. You're not wrong there. Is that they were able to go get Babe Ruth and pay him $100,000, make him the first $100,000 player. They were the first to take advantage of free agency when they signed Don Gullett and Goose Gossage in the mid 70s and Catfish Hunter. They wound up with Reggie Jackson. They have. You're 100% right. That's what I'm saying, is that they can. But the disparity is greater now, even though the Yankees have always spent a lot more than the Cardinals or the Twins or the Reds. The gap between the two and the ability to go get superstar players is greater than it's ever been. And the rest of baseball should be thankful that it's only the Dodgers, that the Yankees are actually pulling in the reins a little bit. And the Dodgers are the only ones that are really going crazy spending money.
Randy, you ever played Baccarat at the casino?
I never have. No.
The way you play it is you don't actually bet on your own card. You either pick dealer or player, and then whoever wins, you're the winner. Okay. So dealer or player, where are you putting your money? Extension or new manager? If you had to put your money somewhere, you put it new manager.
Yeah. And I think that Chaim getting burned in Boston by not bringing in a new guy, and obviously Cora had won a world championship there, so that was different. But I think that once you get into that second job, you probably realize, okay, I need to do things my way with my people. And Ollie is, and like I said, I don't think that Ollie has managed poorly, but I think that you want to, if you're going to cast your lot over the course of 162 games with somebody, that it should be somebody that you are 100% comfortable with. You know what I'm 100% comfortable with is the Trashed Wings at Fenton Bar and Grill. Today is Monday. So today from 5 to 9, if you've never had the best Trashed Wings in America, you can go get them at the Fenton Bar and Grill, and they're only $1 a piece. You can get 10 for $10 this afternoon at the Fenton Bar and Grill between 5 and 9. Stop by and enjoy some of the great food. And you can have those for your whole meal, or you can get them as an appetizer. But then if you want to have some great dinners, they have some really good dinners at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Their baked spaghetti and meat sauce, just $10.95. It is exquisite. They have great chili mac. And if you want to get some great sandwiches, their steak sandwich is absolutely wonderful. I mentioned the Reuben on Friday. It is fantastic. And a lot of people have been trying the trashed chicken sandwich, where they just trash up some chicken breast, serve it on a brioche bun with lettuce, tomato, red onion, and pepper jack cheese. It is tender, it is juicy, and it is flavorful. It is something that you got to try. It's the Trashed Chicken Sandwich at Fenton Bar and Grill. The reason you go to the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road, though, is those Trashed Wings that you see right there, slathered up with their signature golden sauce. It is delicious. Stop by today. Say hi to Megan and Jamie and Candy. The whole crew will be on hand at the Fenton Bar and Grill, just 2 minutes away from the soccer park. Check out their menu at fentonbarandgrill.com. And by all means, when you stop by, tell them Randy sent you.
Randy, this just hit. Jeff Passan has given out his trade deadline awards.
Oh, nice.
And the Cardinals received one of them.
Oh,
he's calling it the Less is More Award for the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, could have gone out and floated any number of desirable players, from Brendan Donovan to Herrera to Nootbaar, and found a market worth pursuing. Instead, Mozeliak kept things simple, and it was the right thing to do. He goes on to say, there is urgency for change with the Cardinals. It's just not the sort of urgency that needed to be met by an outgoing executive. For all the disappointment the Cardinals have provided in the last 3 seasons, attendance is down from 40,000 to less than 29,000 per game. They've got plenty of room to expand their payroll. A future star on the cusp in J.J. Wetherholt, and a wide suit of options going into this winter. In a division as competitive as the NL Central will be over the next half decade, they're going to need everything they can get.
Yep. And I don't know that he understands like the way things are working dynamically with Mo and with Chaim Bloom, but organizationally, like if Chaim Bloom, I'm sure, said, don't trade Donovan, they don't trade Donovan.
I do have to read this sentence just because I know it'll get a reaction from people. Mozeliak did not overstep his bounds and make deals that should be the pure view of his replacement.
Right.
Other executives might have let their ego get in the way in trying to put one final stamp on the franchise they've run for more than a decade. Mozeliak instead recognized this as Bloom's team going forward, and figuring out how to pilot a group that's good but not good enough is no longer Mozeliak's responsibility. I think some people might argue that there wasn't a little bit of ego getting into some of the moves at the end of his tenure there towards the deadline, but maybe not the actual deadline day moves.
Yeah.
They finally DAFA'd the guy, so
yeah, right.
I just the fact that Passan went out of the way to have that line in there was interesting to me.
I had no real issue with the way the Cardinals treated the deadline. I like getting rid of the expiring contracts because those guys were not going to return. They weren't going to pay a closer $10-12 million a year or more, like Helsley. Matz was done here. He wasn't. I love Steven Matz. He's one of my favorite players to be around. And we have a lot in common, and I talked to him every time I went to the ballpark. But the 44/4 just wasn't worth it for him. And then Phil Maton, you get something for nothing. Hopefully they do get something out of it with the two players they got, but you got a guy for nothing. You paid him $2 million, and you got something out of it. And I would think if they wanted to bring Maton back next year, they probably could. So I have no problem with the way they handled the trade deadline. Now, the question is, are they going to be able to put together a unit? And I don't expect them to be a World Series contender next year. I do expect them to be a playoff contender next year. But one of the problems, and you have these great stats since the All-Star break, Victor Scott II hitting 184, his slash line 184, 298, 306, 604. Pajes 156, 156, 250, 406. The Cardinals are going to have to put together, and by the way, Masyn Winn has hit reasonably well despite yesterday, 351, 362, 439, 801. In 4 months here, they have not been able to put together a unit that consistently scores runs. And they've been with the games this weekend, I think it's 7 out of 28 games that they have been shut out. So a quarter of the time in the last month or so that they have been blanked. And that's not good enough. And the weird thing is that I do think that there's baseball talent there, but it's not baseball players. And for whatever reason, even though they have some guys that do things good at times, they just haven't been able to consistently put together a unit that provides good enough offense. And I think that's the big thing that they need to look at next year. Is this a talent issue, or is this a management and coaching issue that is causing these guys to not ascend to a level and work together to build an offense that can score a ton of runs?
Graham, Randy, serious question. How would you expect them to be playoff contenders next year? What do you think Bloom will do to make that happen?
Well, number one, I think just getting rid of Eric Fetty, who is 4-15 in his starts, makes a huge difference. What is McGreevy now 11-2? So let me just I think the team is 11-2, and let me just double check.
And who's
his starts? Michael McGreevy
and McGreevy's.
And that might be career. That might not be this.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's only made 6 this year.
And what's his record?
He's 3-2 and then 3-0 last year. So he's 6-2. He's 6-2. The Cardinals record in those starts I can look up.
Yeah, just check. Go to the bottom of his game logs.
Okay, my bad.
So let's see. This year in his starts that are 5-2. And so, last year you said 3-0.
He went 3-0 in 3 starts.
Yeah. So, and does this include? Let me make sure. Yeah, it does include yesterday or 2 days ago. So the Cardinals are 8-2 in his starts. Meanwhile, Eric Fetty, when he was a member of the Cardinals, the team in his starts. Let me just get it. I think it was 4-15 this year. Let me just double check.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Game logs. So just turning that around, figure 800 winning percentage versus 200 winning percentage or whatever it was. 5-16 in Fetty starts this year for the Cardinals. Just turn that around, and all of a sudden you're in the playoff hunt. So just having the presence, and by the way, I think you'll have Leahy in the bullpen. I have every reason to believe that Leahy can do as a starter what Michaelis has done this year. And then you're going to obviously have to rebuild the bullpen. And I think you'll have to go out and get some guys. But that's what I'm looking at. So If you take away Fetty and plug in McGreevy with what he's done, all of a sudden you're in the playoff race, right?
Yeah, I mean, conceivably, right now you'd still be you'd be at what 7 or 8 games above, or 6 or 7 games above 500 still. Yeah, you'd be right there.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at, and then I do expect that this runway ultimately is going to benefit players. I refuse to believe that what we've seen from Victor Scott in the last month or a couple of weeks since the All-Star break, 3 weeks since the All-Star break, I don't think that's the real Victor Scott. I think Scott is a better hitter than that. I do think that they'll see some ascent, hopefully, from a healthy Walker and a healthy Gorman. I like what they have in Burleson with what they have at Contreras at first base. That's fine. Brendan Donovan is a really good player. So I think there's just a lot of things there to like about the 2026 Cardinals. And they'll make some changes too. So, okay. So what did I say? Was it 6? What was my, let me give you my Eric Fetty number here. 5 and 16 in his starts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they would have gone 500 in his starts, so 21 starts, if they would have gone 11 and 10 in his starts rather than 5 and 16, that'd give you 6 more wins. And is that right?
Yeah.
11 and 10, 5 and 16.
6
so
more
that'd
wins.
give you 6 more wins, and
you'd be 5 games over 500 right now.
Yeah. So there you go. And you'd be in the wild card race.
And so, you'd be 5 games higher than you are right now.
Yeah.
You'd be in the wild card race. And so, extrapolate that to next year? You'd have Ivan Herrera hopefully healthy for a longer period of time. Masyn Winn, as we just said, hitting 350 since the All-Star break. Jordan Walker healthy for the whole year, maybe hitting his 780 OPS that we've seen from Jordan Walker since he got healthy. Like, if those guys are there for larger chunks of the season, the offense should be a little bit more consistent and better as well. I don't necessarily think they're going to be a playoff team next year, but there are, to Randy's point about the pitching, just Eric Fetty, there's reasons to see why they could be, an 86 or 87 win team next year. And while that's been historically short of the third wild card, it could get close to that.
If they had gone 11 and 10 in Fetty starts rather than 5 and 16, they would be a half game behind the Padres right now.
Yeah, that's certainly would change things. It would have changed what you would have done at the deadline and everything.
They'd be 62 and 51, and the Padres are 62 and 50.
Let's turn to, isn't it almost 80 million off the books from 2024 opening day to the commitments going into 2026 opening day? How much of that can be expected to be spent this offseason, or is that just covering losses? Now, I guess if you were looking only at what they have signed for 2026, it would be a very large drop off. Right now, they only have 69 million committed for 2026. So yeah, it would be an $80 million drop off, but they're not going to go into next year with a $69 million payroll. So it's not going to be that much of a drop off, just for perspective's sakes. So this year it was $130 million was the payroll. In 2019, or sorry, not $130 million. In 2019 was 173, and in 2025 it's at 129. So it's gone down. It's gone down 43 million. But again, since 2019, they've lost $60 million in guaranteed money. So I understand why we've seen the payroll drop. It is. I'm not happy about it, but I understand why a business makes those payroll changes when the revenue gets cut.
And just look at it from this perspective. So you're talking to 80 million, but 3 of those players are, and 30, how much is Michael's making? 16?
Yep.
36 million of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can have young pitchers in 2026 that will pitch as well as Lynn, Gibson, and Michaelis did in 2024. And so then there's no reason to pay those guys the 36 million when they haven't even reached arbitration yet. So I get what you're talking about in terms of payroll, but just because you pay a guy more money doesn't make him a better player. And I think the Cardinals right now are going to be as well off not paying kids, younger and cheaper, as they were paying those guys. And Sonny Gray, hopefully he'll wind up being good next year, but that's another. He's going to be a lot more expensive because he only made 10 last year, and he's going to make 35 next year. So he'll be more expensive. But yeah, you had some other guys come off the books. But I still think that you can get younger, less expensive, and better. Just because players are making a lot of money doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to turn you into a pennant contender.
And they're going to get cheaper. I understand that. But I will say, if they drop from 130 million to 70 million in payroll, I will go completely hands off on any criticism of how Cardinals fans can play next year. Because if they drop 60 million, they almost drop if they cut their payroll almost in half, they won't do it. It will not be that drastic. A $60 million drop to like 100 million, 110 million since 2019. Again, I don't like it, but P&L statement's a P&L statement. Like it is what it is. And now they're taking even worse losses than they were when the TV deal originally ended a couple of years ago, because now they're taking losses in the ticket sales and things like that.
Randy, hypothetically, and I think you've got this reversed with BD3's age. I think you're asking about Bill Jr.'s age. Do you get the impression that Bill the Third would sell, right? So you're asking if Mr. DeWitt Jr. is not in charge anymore at the age of 84, would Bill the Third be inclined to sell? I know that he really likes baseball. I know that he is a really astute businessman, and he will know when to sell. I don't think now is prime time to sell for the Cardinals, with attendance where it is, with the TV deal where it is, and before there's a lockout for baseball. I think anything is on the table, though, after the 2026-27 labor dispute is over. I think anything is possible there. If there isn't a salary cap in place, and we're going to go with the status quo, and the Cardinals are going to be given no real chance to win unless an owner spends his own fortune to pay salaries, then I think anything is possible. But I think if you get a level of cost certainty with a salary cap and you're able to compete on your own merits, and you don't have to spend $1 for every $3 that another team is spending, or $1.50 for another, like the Dodgers. The Cardinals are spending about $1.50 that they have, that the Dodgers are spending $3 on. So it makes it really difficult to win, because not only are the Dodgers, I said that the money doesn't make better players, but the Dodgers are really smart and they're buying good players. And so if you can't compete financially and the value of your franchise is going to go down because you can't, then I could see something happening. But I would not see anything happening until after if that would even happen, until after the lockout or the work stoppage. One other point, I think it'll wind up being a package deal, and whether they sell Ballpark Village completely to Cordish, I think if the Cardinals get out, they're going to get out. There's been one company that has tried to save downtown St. Louis by bringing in real estate, by bringing in business, and that's been the St. Louis Cardinals. I think that from a downtown standpoint, if the DeWitt sell, there's a chance that downtown is just done.
Philip Collins, lower payroll is okay with me if you are committed to development for now. However, we cannot see the young talent not pan out. Same thing, in kind of the same mind here from Maelstrom Fiber Arts. Yep. How much of a honeymoon will Chaim get from Cards fans?
I would hope that they would give. We are the smartest fans in baseball. I would hope that with as long as it took to disassemble the quality, I would hope that he'll get a reasonable amount of time, because we are watching a draft and develop organization now. So I think that that he'll get, I would hope, a reasonable opportunity from the fans and the fan base.
And do you think we see maybe a shorter leash on how they handle young players than we saw from the previous era?
Yes, it's got to be. They need to move players through their organization. The fact that they're going to go into this offseason with 47 or 48 guys that need to be protected, that is not a good way to run a baseball team. You've got to be able to identify your talent more quickly than the Cardinals have. There's no excuse to have 47 or 48 players. And it'll be easy to cut 10 of them, I know, but there's no reason to have that many guys heading into an offseason that you either have to protect or let go.
History City's not letting him get to May. He's giving him 1 week.
Okay, 1 week.
You get the end of April there,
okay,
champ.
That's fair.
Craig Lewis saying, let's see Chaim's 5-year plan. Joe also says fans want a plan. I think you can be confident they have one. Like, look at everything Chaim's done in his career. I feel confident in saying the guy's got a plan.
And you know what? I don't think that necessarily you have to think about 5-year plans. You can be a really bad team and then be a really good team 2 years later. I think the idea of the 5-year plan, because of what we just talked about, rushing players through the system, I think that's out the window now. You don't have 5 years because you can only keep players in the minors for 6, and you need to, because you have fewer teams, You have to find out about those players. So you have 4 teams and you have a draft every year. So you have to move those players through the system and either get them out of your organization or get them up to the majors in a really quick time. I don't think you have 5 years to do that. It's a young person's game now.
Interesting. Jason Uloa has a very slow-rolled mindset. I respect this. I will give him until about 2030. By then, the Cardinals should, in theory, have drafted and developed a team that is good enough to compete for a title.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that long-term mindset on that one. I respect that. You're not waiting 5 years.
No, you're not. I might not even be alive in 5 years.
Oh man.
So this is a rush job, Chaim. Get on it.
Graham, at least Chaim will not be nails on the chalkboard for most fans. Most people cringe hearing Mo's voice.
At the end of the day,
do you think
you're going to miss it?
Do you think if I give Chaim $100, he'll say net in his opening press conference?
Maybe 100.
I just need to find a way to bribe him into using like 2 Mo phrases throughout his opening presser just to send a certain packet of fans just into absolute rage. Just say net, say stepping into the bucket, something along those lines, and it will send people into a fury, and I'll be so happy.
The delta between low-hanging fruit and what we're seeking is quite different.
If he says the delta between low-hanging fruit, I'm the biggest Chaim fan right out of the gate. If he just trolled fans a little bit, I'd love that.
You know what I'm a fan of is our friends at DraftKings Pick 6. And man, tonight is a fun night in baseball.
Finally.
Because you have some really fun games, including, by the way, the Cardinal game that is going to be a lot of fun. If you go to DraftKings Pick 6, just download the app and use that promo code STL Sports. We can get you a heck of a deal. As a matter of fact, for your first deposit of $5, you get $25 in bonus picks. And then just take a look at that Cardinal Doyer game tonight, because there's some really interesting things going on. Sonny Gray against Tyler Glasnow, okay? So if you just want to start with what we have going on, Ohtani against Sonny Gray, over or under on a home run, 0.5. Does he hit one or not? I say he does.
Yeah, let's go for it.
I would think so. But then you have the Cardinals going against Glasnow. Is a Cardinal going to come up and have any success at all against Tyler Glasnow? I'm betting against it. So I'm going to go with, hits, runs, RBI.
Always my favorite.
It's my favorite too. And I just don't think the Cardinals are going to be able to do much against Ty. Let's call him Ty Glasnow. So I'm going to go with, I'm trying to pick out which Cardinal do, because somebody might do something.
I would say Nolan Gorman. He's feeling it after a couple of those errors over the weekend. He's back in his natural position at third base. I think Gorman's going to get a little. He's going to get some feel to it.
Okay, I like that. So we'll go with that. So Ohtani did hit a home run though, right? And then here's the big one. Hold on, I gotta go back and find it. Hold on.
Tommy Edmonds coming back. Tommy Edmonds coming back.
Tommy Edmond. Maybe. So I don't know.
He'd be a good one to bet the under on.
Yeah, he would.
Or lower, less. Yeah. Excuse me.
So okay. Here we go.
I mean, we've got a good base already. We got Ohtani, we got a Cardinal, and you can pick up to 6 people.
And then I'm going to go Glasnow less than 17.5 outs.
Okay, what are we Xing here? What's our odds on this one? We're putting those 3 together.
Oh, we got let me get Tyler in there. He's good.
So Glasnow, Ohtani, and who's our third one? And Gorman. I like those. I like that pick.
Yeah,
we're putting together here.
Yeah, this is going to be epic.
It's crazy how automatic Ohtani feels.
It really does, especially against Sonny Gray, right? Sonny Gray will pitch well tonight because he's not going to sweat too much. 78 at game time, by the way.
I'm looking right now. I changed it to Alec Burleson. Shohei Ohtani home run. Tyler Glasnow on the strikeouts thrown. We're going more than 6.5.
I've got him less than 17.5 outs.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go strikeouts thrown.
Okay, good.
And then I'm gonna go Alec Burleson 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI. That gives you 9x right now.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That is DraftKings Pick 6. You gotta love it, and you need to take advantage. Get to DraftKings Pick 6. Download the app. And don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6, and right now get that $25 in bonus picks with your first deposit of $6. Download that app now and use that code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Oh, there we are again.
Can I nerd out for a second?
Yeah, we got to nerd out. We got about 5 minutes here. What do we got?
5 minutes. I just want to nerd out really quickly because we talked a little bit earlier about Masyn Winn's success since the All-Star break.
All he does is win.
351 with a 362 on base percentage. So he needs to get some walks. He hasn't been doing that, but slugging 439, and he has an OPS of 801 since the All-Star break. I thought this was great. Lynn Worthy did a great breakdown on STL today of Winn, and Ali said he pretty much has a quote unquote a superpower because he's working on trying to pick and choose the moments where he goes opposite field versus pulling the ball more. And I thought this was actually fascinating. And if you look at the numbers on Baseball Savant with Masyn Winn, and I'm going to throw them up right here on the screen for everybody so that we can see them in nice big pictures. So this is his hit chart in 2024 right there, and you can see all that opposite field stuff from Masyn Winn. Here's his hit chart this year. So he's gone. It's kind of coalesced all to the left field side with him pulling the ball,
and so hit home runs.
And I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily. Like, well, we don't want to see him necessarily be a power hitter. I just think him as Ali Marmol, him being able to pick and choose the moments where he says, "I'm going to go opposite field. I'm going to be a pull hitter." That's really dangerous for Masyn Winn going forward. And it's just this kind of production and growth from Masyn Winn is something we hadn't seen from him as a hitter over the first 18 months. But it's now something where he's got the basics down. He is a major league baseball player. Now let's try to dial in who he can be in the long run. And this kind of hitting equation for Masyn Winn, I think, changes people's mindset, because when they see him as the leadoff hitter, or they see him as the 5-hole hitter, which he did both in this series against the Padres, and you look at his on-base percentage, you say, I don't know if that's good enough to be a leadoff guy. You look at his slugging percentage and say, I don't know if that's good enough to be a 5-hole guy. But to me, there are numbers that tell you that Masyn Winn is going to be a plus hitter, not just for the shortstop position, but overall in Major League Baseball.
So I'm of the belief that regardless of what J.J. Wetherholt is when he gets here, I don't think that he steals the job. I don't think there's any way that J.J. Wetherholt steals his shortstop job from Masyn Winn. I don't think that he's not going to have a better arm, probably won't have better range. I mean, you look at the defensive metrics, and Masyn Winn is right at the top, and then those offensive numbers, and they should be ascending that you just mentioned. To me, Masyn Winn is your shortstop, so that moves Wetherholt over to third.
Yeah, it moved Wetherholt over to third. That makes plenty of sense to me. To your point, you might just want to look at batting average and things and react to Masyn Winn, but if you go to his Baseball Savant page, you compare 2024 to 2025. Everything's better, and more so than that, you guys always complain about strikeout numbers and things like that. Masyn Winn has one of the greatest eyes in Major League Baseball for a young hitter. One of the highest base on balls percentages, one of the highest K rate percentages in the league, high being the good thing, and it's getting better. He's taking more walks than he did last year when he had a good rate. He's taking less strikeouts than he did last year when he had a good rate. He's hitting the ball harder. He's hitting it with a better launch angle. Like every single number inside of Masyn Winn's Baseball Savant page offensively got better in 2025 than 2024, and that should be a huge things for Cardinals fans going forward.
I agree.
Because I saw it. Somebody, I think it was John Denton on Twitter, referred to Masyn Winn as one of the Cardinals' future superstars, and people were like, he can't be a superstar if he's only slugging 396 and things like that. And I was like, listen, break down the numbers. 800 OPS since the All-Star break. He absolutely can be a superstar. And again, if he can dial in that pull into the right moments where you're talking about, he can dial in that power to the pull side in certain moments while also being an aggressive opposite field hitter. That's not just a useful hitter at shortstop. That's a useful hitter in your lineup, period.
Yeah, he's a good guy to have. And I kind of thought that he could be a leadoff hitter. I'm not so sure, but I think if you have him as your number 2 hitter, though, I think he does enough there. Craig Lewis says we should all go to the last game so we can all sing na 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 hey 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 goodbye to
Craig.
Mo. I don't know if Mo's going to be here. I think Mo might. I wouldn't be surprised if Mo's gone by September 1st.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. By the way, did I tell you that I asked a Cardinal front office executive about turning J.J. Wetherholt into our Corbin Carroll, because they're basically the same guy.
How'd that go?
Yeah, I got. No.
No?
yeah.
What's wrong with that?
He's got the athleticism, but no, he's.
Oh.
So yeah, I was soundly rebuffed in that desire. But I've had a pretty good batting average. I got my Herrera to the outfield. I was pretty happy about that. I've had a pretty good batting average, getting them to do things that I want them to do this year. Winn is great. However, he will be overshadowed his whole career by other great shortstops, especially Ellie in his division. Baseball gods payback for having Ozzie over Barry in the 80s and 90s. Ellie De La Cruz is pretty good. Yeah, you're not wrong. Not wrong there.
Yeah, I really want to have a comment to that. It's just, you don't expect Masyn Winn to have a 25 home run, 100 RBI bat like Ellie De La Cruz does. That's like true outsized hitting from the position. I mean, that's like Carlos Correa kind of outside hitting at that position. I'm not saying Masyn Winn's going to hit that level, but I still truly believe, based on his profile for this year, improving from last year, I think he can be quote unquote a superstar for the Cardinals
I think so too,
in the future.
Yeah. By the way, we'll see how I am tomorrow. I'm going to try to watch the whole game and then get up at 4 a.m.
Oh, Jesus.
9:10 start.
That's rough.
I know. I'm going to try it.
I don't think you should try that.
Let's see how I do tomorrow. I might bring an energy drink. I might bring a First Form energy drink in here.
I think if they were nice, somebody at the station would have the replay right at about the 7th inning tacked up for you, so that when you walk in, you can watch the last 3 innings or so.
BT always uses the cut ups.
Yeah, use that.
That's not a bad.
I'm saying wake up and watch the cut ups.
Maybe I'll do that. Okay,
yeah, wake up and watch the recap.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget to try DraftKings Pick 6, where the crown is yours. And don't forget to try the Fenton Bar and Grill, great partner of ours, Chuck Nash, the 2024 Maitre d' of the year.
That's your dinner tonight.
That's
your dinner tonight.
The wings are a great dinner for you tonight. And we'll be back at it tomorrow morning at 10 to 11:30 is what we're going to do tomorrow. And we're just going to have a great time talking ball again. And we thank you for being a part of the Randy Karraker Show, featuring Brooke Grimsley, but Matthew Rocchio, obviously, in for the Brookster. And thanks to Wilson for getting us on the air. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 10:04. So long, everyone.